Once again, we are back. Welcome, ladies and gents. I am the Bibliotech Nerd, and this is the show where we review comic books and graphic novels. Having released a video review on the Life of Captain Marvel comic series, it is now time to look at the Trials of Shazam, so that we prepare for the eventual fight night that is coming up. I am quite excited to get that video out. Now, to be fair and honest, I wasn't entirely happy about the Captain Marvel video, as I believe that I spent a tad bit too much time on the summary and was not as quick and precise and to the point as that I hoped it would be. As such, I've decided that I need to change my game up a small bit for this video, considering that this comic series has 12 issues written for it. In other words, I shall be dramatically shortening the summaries for each of the issues so that I focus more on the opinion spiel at the end, since that is what people might be interested in. Now, before I go on, don't forget to watch my previous video on the Life of Captain Marvel so as to be prepared for the Friday fight night that I've planned between her and Shazam. Of course, also stay tuned for next Monday as I plan to release the Shazam movie review when I get back from the cinema. A fun-packed weekend ahead, that is for sure. Now let's get right into it, folks, like I always do. First, I'll start off with a short summary before moving on to the opinion spiel of the video. Issue number 1. The Boy and the Man. The world has changed. What you once knew has now become refashioned. The books of magic have been rewritten. Shazam has a duty to the world, and a blood sacrifice of the innocent in Norway must be stopped before it is too late. Greater demon or not, the summoned creature of dark magic cannot be allowed to harm the mortal world. To his surprise though, once the fighting is over, he can no longer change back to Billy Batson. The Trials of Shazam have now begun. Issue number 2. Pass the Power. When the Wizard Shazam was destroyed, the power and the magic of this world was thrown into flux. All the power he controlled, and so much of the dark forces he kept at bay, discharged. The power itself is needed to be contained and utilized again. Another had to fill the void left by Shazam, and Captain Marvel was thus tasked with the position. A new champion must arise. It now falls down to Freddy Freeman to complete the challenges set by the namesake holders of Shazam. Issue number 3. The Council of Merlin is watching. Wisdom is a powerful tool. A weapon can be useless without the know-how of how to wield it properly. Freddy must now speak the truth if he wishes to take up the mantle of the world's champion. Those who wish to obtain the power of Shazam are watching and waiting for him to mess up and swoop in to take their bounty. Even with such a tragic past that was caused by Marvel himself, Freddy still has the indomitable will to do good and help others. The truth of his intentions gained favor with Solomon. Issue number 4. Rival for the Power. Hate is as old as time immemorial. The tribes of man have warred against one another for centuries, with hate filling their hearts. Freddy is now embarking in his second trial and must stand with Hercules under the hot desert sun and face down an evil force of hate and violence that will tear the region asunder. His courage and his determination will be tested in the fires of war and battle. Issue number 5. Desert Storm. The hordes of war thunder towards our would-be champion. But no matter their strength or power, it is fear itself that Freddy must overcome if he wishes not only to pass his trial, but also to make it out alive. With Achilles having been wounded and upon death's door, the greater demon is now free to rampage across the land and cause immeasurable havoc upon the world. With whatever courage Freddy is able to find within his heart, he leaps into the belly of the beast in defiance of fear to stop this rampaging bull. Issue number 6. Hercules Chained. Hercules took the lives of the innocent. That breaks the magical covenant for a being of his rank. Even though he stood defiantly against the forces of darkness and evil, fate has divined that he is to remain mortal as his penance. Although reluctant, Freddy cannot cross this moral boundary and must find another way to complete the trials of Hercules. But evil doesn't wait around and steals some of Hercules' power. With newfound strength, Freddy must now face down a new trial by combat. Issue number 7. Power Struggle. The world was built through strength and power. The might of Hercules now resides both in Sabina and Freddy. Only the old ways will settle who inherits the might and strength of Hercules. Only through a trial by combat will one be able to wield its full might. Sabina has waited a long time to try and take the powers of Shazam, and she will not so easily let it slip through her grasp. Though she is unable to best Freddy, her plan is to use this newfound strength and go to the next trial. Issue number 8, Atlas Plugged. The weight of the world weighs heavily on the shoulders of Atlas, but he no longer sees the pain, suffering, and tragedy of humanity. Sabina has killed him. A new bearer of the world must be found if Freddy wants to continue his trials. The next in line for this position is Apollo, but he no longer wishes to adorn the mantle of a god, and only through combat will he be willing to take on this new position. Freddy must now fight a god for this trial. Issue number 9, Apollo's Creed. The fighting is fierce and brutal. Apollo holds nothing back against Freddy. He is content with his chosen life and has no desire to take up the duties of Atlas. Through his rage, Apollo finds clarity when in his desire to destroy Freddy, he puts the lives of innocent mortals in harm's way. Reluctantly, he accepts to take the place of Atlas, but in doing so, does not grant his full power to Freddy. Sabine also gains some. Issue number 10, The Power Usurped. Sabina and Freddy race to find the elusive Mercury and gain his ability of speed. Having already gained a lead from the previous trials, Sabina leaves a bloody trail as she hunts down Mercury. The gatekeepers to his location are either left near dead or spoke their last words. Even after getting to the final gatekeeper, the task isn't so easy to complete. To gain the powers of Mercury, they must catch him first. Issue number 11, Mercury Poisoning. No matter how fast Apollo can run, there are some things that not even he is able to outrun. Sabina does not show mercy and threatens the life of Apollo's 2 mortal children. Though he is left alive, she takes his power through blood and blade. The 2 contestants are now equal in power and strength on the Trial of Shazam. Only the mightiest god is now left. The power of Zeus is the last step before the end. Freddy knows that he cannot go at this alone and decides to recruit some old friends that might just be able to turn the tide. Issue number 12, The Trials of Shazam. The fate of the world is at stake. Sabina plans to take 1,000,000 mortal lives to bolster her demonic army and bring forth the demonic wizard, better known as Merlin, into the world of man. The city of sin becomes the battleground between the armies of darkness and light. Having the strength and courage to fight evil itself is not enough. The willingness to sacrifice everything to save the mortal world will be necessary, regardless whether or not, in the end, Freddy is able to take up the mantle of Shazam. Evil cannot get its hand on such power, or hell on earth will become a reality. Sabina must be stopped. End of story. Now that wraps up the short summary, folks, and I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to make sure this time that it didn't take up too much of the video. But now let's move on to the opinion spiel of the review. So first and foremost, I got a more positive feeling from this comic book. Simply put, the premise of the whole story was brilliant, and although at the very start of the comic series it wasn't quite implemented properly in my opinion, there was a bit of a slow start in a sense, I definitely think it got better as we went along. Although quite short in nature, the Trial of Solomon, it wasn't quite actiony, so it was kind of a meh there, but it was a great character progression for Freddy to see his intents and why he wants to be this superhero. On the other hand, I think Achilles and Hercules was probably the least favorite ones that I have. The biggest flaw in my opinion for the Trial of Achilles is definitely the art. The whole army of pink pigs was just horrible in my opinion. Like, it was a pretty decent idea to have them fight a greater demon of hate in the shape of a minotaur, but I think that the art and the pigs were kind of just slowly thrown in there afterwards just to bolster up the pages. So it kind of gets a few negative marks in this little section just because of the story composition with the art. Now in the Trial of Hercules, although there was an interesting bit of world building regarding his punishment for having killed mortal lives, it was kind of disappointing and not as epic for being the Trial of Hercules. Although I suppose that's just me wanting to see buildings having been thrown around like tennis balls, so I can't really fault it for really what I wanted to have happened. Now the next trials just kept getting better and they kept escalating in grandeur. I like that even throughout, the trials are never that straightforward, oh I just go up to Hercules and he's gonna give me his powers. Something always changes to kind of keep you on your toes when you're reading. The Trial of Atlas and then Apollo being one of them was just a pretty well done. The combination of the world building for Atlas and how he has to suffer all of humanity's suffering, combining that with the fact that Freddy is trying to force Apollo to take up the new mantle, it really gets you thinking, and even at one point you sympathize with Apollo for not wanting to take up the position and the mantle that Atlas used to have. And of course, the last fight scene was pretty cool. I genuinely wasn't expecting to see the JLA in issue 11, like it genuinely took me off guard and surprised me. And the really nice thing of introducing them, it doesn't subtract or take away from Shazam. The focus is still maintained on him, and you just get a few glances now and again of the JLA fighting. It is literally like the cherry on top, I would describe it as. It doesn't take the place of the whole cake, and it's just a nice little addition on top. Now, the art is kind of similar to the storytelling. The very start of the series was kind of just meh, and it only really got better as you kept going. It's not like it was a bad art form, it just wasn't captivating from the get-go. But in my opinion, it truly exploded into grandeur at the very end. And to be honest, I know this is kind of weird, but my favorite part of the art is in fact the costumes. They're not like fancy technological or shiny, no muscles popping through, but I think that there's something special in their simplicity as they still inspire hope when you look at the heroes. There's something there in the art for that inspires hope and confidence in what the heroes stand for and not just for what they look like. It definitely gets a lot of positive marks from my end. Now, I'm going to wrap up the video so I make sure that it's not going to be super long like it was for The Life of Captain Marvel. Do let me know what you think about this video. Don't forget to stay tuned for Friday's fight night between Captain Marvel and Shazam. I hope that a lot of people are excited for it and that it will be a pretty cool little video. So, comment below your thoughts, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I shall see you in the next video.